exchange. Kyrie tweeted, quote, "The N-word is a derogatory racial slur. It will never be a term of endearment, reclaimed, flipped. Never forget it's foul and true history. Throw that N-word out the window, right alongside all those other racist words used to describe my people. We are not slaves or ends." A lot of words there. So Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is joining us now. Chris, your reaction. Are you surprised by the stance Kyrie took?
I'm not surprised. I'm actually very proud of Kyrie. And I texted some people in his inner circle that last night to relay that message to him. I'm glad he took this stance, and I would love it if African Americans en masse took heed to the words that Kyrie says. Because as Shannon knows, this is a very controversial and hotly debated topic in the black community, whether or not we should use the word to refer to each other. Obviously, some think we can, and it's fine, and others think we shouldn't. And Kyrie, if you follow Kyrie on social media, you can see that he is discovering his African and Native American roots. And a lot of many, if not all, but many, maybe I'd say most African Americans who really get deep into their African heritage by studying African history, not just African American history that starts in slavery, but what were we doing in Africa before we were enslaved in America? What religions, what words were we using? What were we like then? African Americans that go that deeply tend to be against us using the N-word. And I think that's where Kyrie is at. I'm in that camp. I don't think we should use it. Malcolm X was in that camp. He didn't think we should use it. Richard Pryor, when he went, who used to use it, obviously, early in his career, when he went over to Africa, he came back to America and said, "I didn't see any N-words. I'm never going to use that word again." So that's where I think Kyrie is at. It's interesting. Back in 2014, I think it was, Nicki Minaj she had like a poster or something that correlated the N-word with Malcolm X. She had a photo of Malcolm X and the N-word on it. And black people en masse got upset. How dare you associate Malcolm X with that word? Which I agree with him. Malcolm was a great leader. But I think it was like, we respect Malcolm. You can't put that word on him. We should have that respect for all black people and say you can't put that word on any of us. Not just Malcolm and Martin Luther King, but all of us. So that's where I'm at with it. I understand there's a difference between blacks and whites using the word. I don't get upset or offended when I'm around African Americans and they use it. Shannon, I got family, I got great friends that use the N-word. You know, it is what it is. But I wish we would not use it, because I do think, in my opinion, like, a lot of African Americans believe that's a remnant of a slave mentality, that we insist on using that word. I believe it's a remnant of the slave mentality, just like we use good hair to describe white people's hair but not black people's hair, just like we have a color complex, light versus dark. I think the N-word falls right in line with all of that stuff.
You're right. You're right, Chris. But I think the thing is that, and you know this, in all groups, there have been certain times that we use words to describe one another, that if someone outside of that group were to use it, it would be highly offensive. It would be highly derogatory, or we consider a slur. Like, we talk to one another in our community, we might use the N-word. The gay and lesbian community might use words that are offensive or derogatory within their subgroups. That's fine with them. But if someone else said that, women do use words that if someone outside, not being a woman, were to call them that. But for me, okay, Schroder might have said, and you know, they hear it all the time in the NBA, because the majority of the NBA players are black, and I'm sure when they're talking to one another, they say this. Okay, it looked to me, Chris, is that Schroder didn't say this until Kyrie got up in his face. And he said, "Damn, Ian." And he was like, Kyrie was trying to press him. He like, "Is it that serious? Why are you all up on me like that?" And so Kyrie got upset, took offense, and said, "Don't call me that." Schroder's looking at him like, "Really? Like, my bad, okay." You know, for me, if I were to call someone in my subgroup that, and they say, "Hey, Sharp, man, I appreciate it if you don't call me that." Okay, fine, no problem. But don't keep trying to press me. "Oh, bro, you heard what I said." "Bro, you said don't call you that." I'm cool with it. Let it go. For me, it looked like it was something bigger. It's hard for me to believe somebody call you that, you blow it up, and keep escalating it to the point that you get removed from the game, because it marred what really was a good game, a huge win for the Lakers. So for me, I get it. If you're in a subculture and you don't want to be called a word that's deemed that someone else called you outside of that group, okay, fine. I have no problem with you verbalizing it. But to take it to the level in which he took it to, Chris, there has to be something. We've seen situations. Two brothers get into a fight and somebody stabs somebody over a piece of chicken, or somebody did because they didn't take the dog out. That wasn't the factor. There were precursors. That was the final straw. There was something else that went on, that was going on in Kyrie, that caused him to blow up like this and to escalate it.
Could I address that quickly, Skip,
yes,
if I may? Yeah. I think, Shannon, and you, look, I'm sure you've known guys that got Afrocentric.
Yes.
Right? They start coming in the knowledge of Black history. And a lot of times they're like a bull in a china shop, you know, and you're offending people around you because you're so gung-ho about this newfound knowledge you had. I was even like that when I first became a Christian. I was like a bull in a china shop. You know, I was just...
Man, stop all that cursing.
And I think that, right, I think that's where Kyrie's at. I think he's coming into this knowledge, you know, for the first time. Why wasn't I taught this stuff in school? Why didn't I know this? Why don't Black people know this about ourselves? And he's probably overzealous. So I think that's why, what you said, that's probably why he reacted the way he did.
Okay, I'm going to step back from what I've found to be a fascinating give and take between you two. And I'm going to restate my position on this. I have dealt with this issue for maybe 15 years on live TV. And obviously, I am not qualified to pick a side on this because Chris is on one side, Shannon's on another side. Mm-hmm. All I know for sure is the original N-word, the one ending in the hard ER, spoken by white people for many years in this country against Black people, the one used to demean Black people, to relegate them to a subhuman form, is simply the most vile and evil word in our language. And I have campaigned for years to try to get it exterminated from our language. Yet, I've tried to understand, with the help of our friend Michael Eric Dyson, Dr. Dyson now at Vanderbilt University, that the Black community took that word ending in the hard ER and, to Shannon's point, drained the poison out of it and turned it into a word ending in A that's a term of endearment or a term of familiarity, a term of, hey, we're all in this together. I certainly get that part of it. And again, I'm not qualified to pick a side on this. But there's been an old school that's now turning into a newer school of, as Dr. Dyson told me last night, that Kyrie's position is one that more than a few Black folk now hold. Mm-hmm. Well, to me, this was pretty significant that a contemporary Black player took a public stance against using the word as a term of endearment, a term of we're all in this together.
Right.
I don't remember that. Help me out, but I don't remember that happening. And Chris goes so far to say, way to go, Kyrie. I'm proud of you for taking that stance. Yet my question to both of you, your community is obviously somewhat split over this. What percent do you feel like are in the old school camp, now becoming new school, of you cannot use that word in any way, shape, or form? And what percent would be in your camp of, hey, it's just how we talk to each other and it's okay?
I think for me, Chris, is that because I'm not around that many people anymore, I don't really go sit in the barbershop like I once could, because I was always respectful. If I saw an elderly gentleman or an elderly person in the barbershop, I made sure I didn't use that word because I know they were going to feel uncomfortable with it. Yep. So I tried to make it a course to my surroundings. Now, if it's just a bunch of guys in there, it's going back and forth. When I was on the football field, oh, you trying to be super in today, huh? Oh, we about to slow you down, you know what? So that went back and forth. So for me, in my age bracket, and I say between 35 and 55, we don't have a problem with it. But I know some of the older And Chris, I think it for me, when I look at it, if you like were in Jim Crow, you know, we talk about it, but if you like grew up in that era, you're probably a little bit more, nah, I'm going to stay away from that.